Let's be honest, it's one of the most shocking book titles you've probably ever seen. I'm glad my mom died. It's a phrase that's just designed to stop you dead in your tracks. But Jennette McCurdy's memoir is so much more than just shock value. So today we're going to dive in and unpack the heartbreaking, the hilarious, and ultimately the triumphant story behind that title.
And yeah, this quote, it just nails it. The book walks this incredible tightrope. One minute, you are literally laughing out loud at McCurdy's razor-sharp, dark humor, and the very next, you're hit with the raw, unfiltered pain of her childhood. And it's that mix that makes it just so unbelievably powerful.
And wow, was it powerful. This memoir sold over 3 million copies all over the world. It became this huge cultural moment. It topped all the bestseller lists and started so many conversations online, especially on platforms like Book Talk, where readers just could not get enough of her honesty. So you gotta ask, right? Why? What was it about this story that just hit such a nerve with millions of people? Well, that's what we're gonna break down. We'll look at the abuse she went through, the bizarre double life she led as a child star, and the incredibly difficult path she had to walk to finally get her own life back.
Okay, so let's start right there, with the title and the immediate shockwave it created. Because this wasn't some slow burn book, you know? This was a full-on explosion from day one, and it completely shattered the public image we all had of Jennette McCurdy.
I mean, think about it. For millions of us, she was just Sam Puckett, the tough, sarcastic, food-loving sidekick for iCarly. This memoir was her reintroducing herself to the world, not as a character she played, but as a survivor and a writer with a really important story to tell.
And when I say explosion, I mean it. The launch was just insane. It comes out on August 9th, 2022, and boom, it sells out in less than a day. It shot straight to #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. And by the end of the year, it won the Goodreads Choice Award for Best Memoir. It was clear this was one of the most important books of the year.
But to really get why she chose that title, why this book had to be written, we've got to go all the way back to the beginning. The story really kicks off with her mother, Deborah, and a dream that was never, ever Jennette's to begin with.
And Jennette is just crystal clear about this. She never, not for a second, wanted to be an actress. Her mother had always wanted that life for herself, and she shoved Jennette into the industry when she was only 6 years old. From that moment on, Jennette's entire existence was about one thing: making her mom happy.
And the level of control here, it's just staggering. This wasn't just being a strict parent, it was the total erasure of Jennette as a human being. Deborah controlled every single thing she ate, which is what directly kicked off Jennette's lifelong eating disorder. The physical exams, which went on until she was 16, were a horrifying violation. And she even weaponized her own cancer, using it to guilt-trip Jennette into submission. It was this suffocating, toxic environment, all disguised as a mother's love. And the craziest part? All of this was happening while she was becoming one of the biggest kid stars on the planet. It created this dizzying contrast between her shiny public life and her private, personal hell.
And this right here just shows you how cruel and twisted the whole situation was. Her character, Sam Puckett, was famous for loving food, for always eating, for carrying a sock full of butter as a weapon. Jennette calls it tragically hilarious, because behind the scenes, she was deep in the grips of anorexia and bulimia, absolutely terrified of the very thing her character was known for celebrating.
I mean, can you even imagine? You're dealing with this secret, agonizing struggle, and fans are coming up to you, waving fried chicken in your face, thinking it's a funny inside joke. For Jennette, it was just torture. They were unknowingly poking at her deepest, most painful secret, and it felt like they were just twisting the knife over and over again.
So, as if the nightmare at home wasn't enough, the environment at Nickelodeon was also incredibly toxic. In the book, she talks about this powerful, controlling boss who she only calls the creator, who many people believe is the producer Dan Schneider.
And the way she describes him, it's just so disturbing. She says his behavior was just plain mean and controlling, but it's the specific details that are so chilling. We're talking about unsolicited shoulder massages, offering her alcohol when she was only 18. It was just another layer of fear and manipulation in a life that was already full of it.
And then comes maybe the most telling part of all. After her shows were done, the network offered her $300,000. The catch? She could never, ever talk publicly about her experiences there. She knew exactly what it was: hush money. And in an incredible act of bravery, she turned it down, which is what made it possible for this whole story to even be told.
Now, you'd think that when her mother finally passed away from cancer in 2013, it would be this moment freedom, right? A relief. But for Jennette, it was the exact opposite. It was the beginning of a complete and total breakdown.
It's like her mother's control, as horrible as it was the only thing holding her life together. And without it, all the ways she learned to cope just spiraled out of control. Her eating disorder got worse, her drinking got worse, and she was filled with this rage that she had no idea what to do with. She had officially hit rock bottom.
But, sometimes you have to hit rock bottom to start climbing back up. And that's exactly what she did. This is where she starts the long, hard journey to finally get her life back.
And the big breakthrough, the real turning point, happened in therapy. It was there that she was finally able to say the words out loud, to accept a truth she'd been pushing down her whole life. What her mother did, it wasn't love. It was abuse. And just admitting that was the first real step to breaking free.
And once she accepted that, her recovery became this series of, rebellions, small but powerful acts of defiance against her mother's legacy. Each step was about taking her life back. Selling the house her mom picked out, that was taking back her space. Getting rid of the bathroom scale, that was declaring war on her eating disorder. And the big one? She quit acting for good, finally silencing the dream that was never hers. It was all about learning, for the first time ever, to listen to herself, even if it was for something as small as just enjoying a cookie without any guilt.
And that brings us right back to the title. This quote says it all. It's not about hate. It's about a simple, heartbreaking equation. For me to have any chance at happiness, at a real life, I had to be free from the person whose own happiness depended on my misery.
And the amazing thing is, today, she really is free. She says that nagging, critical voice that her mother put in her head is finally getting quieter. She's writing, she's directing, and she says she feels more fulfilled than she ever has in her entire life. It's just an incredible story of resilience.
So in the end, when you see that title, I'm glad my mom died, it's not a statement of hatred at all. It's a declaration of survival. It's about the profound relief of finally getting to live your own life. And it kind of makes you think, right? What does it take for any of us to break free from the stories that were written for us and finally bravely reclaim our own?